Hey, how's it going? So, by no means am I a financial advisor, and this whole video is going to be purely based on my opinion. So, if I had $1,000 to invest, let's say I just got out of high school, right? I just turned 18, but I got $1,000 to invest to put somewhere. What would I do with it personally? So, I personally have a pretty good portfolio running right now. Um, I actually just started this year on investing. I did invest in high school. I had a lot of stocks and things like just random stocks. So I just picked something I knew about and I'd invest into it. Obviously, that can be very stupid or that can be very smart because you either know a lot about the stock and what they do, or you just don't know anything and you're just throwing money out there. So, what would I do with $1,000? Right. So you got some options out there. I think if you're someone, honestly, I think at the young age of 18 to 21 to 25, in this range, you have a lot of play to do, right? You can put your money in places you really don't have to worry, right? Because most of us are going to be living with our parents anyways, probably until we're 40. But that's not the goal, right? So if I had $1,000 right now, what would I do with it? So you got some options out there of ETFs, you have single stocks, and then you have things like uh, precious metals. So you have things like gold and silver, which is actually really blew up recently. I've always been someone, and you also have crypto as well. You have real estate. You have you have a lot of things you can go into. You can start up a business. Um, so what would I do personally, right? Personally, what I did was I first got the safe bet, right? All hell broke loose. At least I have something that isn't just paper, right? So I ended up buying gold first, uh, as a way to um, just have a safeguard on your money. That way, there's just no stress anymore. You know, you're always gonna have something that's worth something, no matter what. Gold will always be worth something. It's what literally created the dollar, really created currency altogether. So with $1,000 though, I'm not too worried about gold and silver. So we can go ahead and scratch that off the list for our thousand. Throat, man. Fuck. Um, so real estate, we can scratch that off the list honestly as well because well, you just don't have enough upfront costs to really get into some of these things. Obviously, you could buy like a gram of gold, which is I think right now is running like 165 or something, 170. So it's very high, highest it's ever been in history. And that tells you that people don't trust the dollar anymore. It's devaluing its own self. So and that's also a good thing for stocks as well, because that means the price of a stock is going to go up drastically as well. So I know there's some people out there who really want to do the Roth or the 401k, and that's a good idea if you're somebody who wants to be rich when they're old as fuck, right? And that's honestly with a lot of these things, that's pretty much the only way you can do it, right? If you're somebody who doesn't want to take any risk at all and you want to slowly build up this wealth, it's a guaranteed chance you will become a millionaire at some point in your life. If you do these things, if you do the Roth and the 401k, you max it out every year, you get that match that they give you. That's great. But if you're someone who that's not the goal, right? And you don't want to wait until you're 65 to pull it out, then this video is more or less for you. Personally, what I do is, um, especially with $1,000, you can definitely do this, um, and you could slowly build up a portfolio. You know, but after this $1,000, doesn't mean that you can just put 1,000 in and everything's gonna work. You definitely need to have a monthly amount going in or weekly. You know, some form of money that's constantly going in, right? And I think the market is really a lot of timing. Obviously, the earlier you get in, the better, but it's a lot of timing. So you should definitely learn how to read a graph. That's the first thing you do. Learn how to read a graph. You should definitely do that. You should definitely understand market manipulation. You should understand, uh, why do the markets move the way they do, um, before you start throwing money at things. And you have your blue chip stocks, right? These are stocks that are big, things like Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia. These are your blue chip stocks, right? These are stocks that are big, and putting money into them isn't a huge risk because they're always you have a good chance of them always being around, right? And the simplest thing I could say is in a blue chip stock is buy the dip, sell at the top. It's simple. It's really simple, right? Like right now, Microsoft is down, I think like 8%, right? Or like 20%. Fuck, I don't know. But so I have money in Microsoft, right? If you were to buy the dip, something that's very obviously lower than it should be, uh, is going to go up, right? But that's not what this video is all about. This video is where would I put my 1,000 to begin with, right? These are things you should be looking at later down the line. But to give you that peace of mind to know that your money is not going to get outdone by inflation, what you really need to do is get into something like the VU, the S&P 500, right? It has a history of pretty much going up every year. It's had a few bad years, right? But I won't even say they're bad because that's just another opportunity to buy. Like I said earlier, you buy the dip. If you own a stock, right, like S&P, and it's down that year, that's just another chance for you to buy because you're getting it at a discount. Honestly, you're getting it at a discount. So let's say the VU is at $500 a share, right, and it goes down to 400, right? Buy more if you can. But you also don't want to have so much money in the market that you have to pull out, right? You don't have an emergency fund. So get an emergency fund set up, and then you can start putting your money in there. And you'll should be getting 10% on average a year from that. And that's just an easy way to have peace of mind, right? You don't have to worry about your future when you do something like this. I think it's something like if you put 500 a month into the S&P, by the time you're by the 30-year mark, you should have well over $1 million, right? And that's the same thing with the Roth that everyone really wants. But what I would do to give me that peace of mind is definitely put my money in the markets, right? Into either a blue chip stock, diversify it between blue chip stocks, ones that I think would do good, in the S&P. So I would put probably about 70% of my portfolio into the S&P and check the markets every once in a while for a dip, right? A dip on Microsoft, a dip on Google. And you don't need to just look at these big tech companies either. You can look at things like industrial. So you got Exxon, like John Deere, Walmart, McDonald's. So look for dips on these big blue chip stocks as well. That's definitely a good thing to do. because you know those are going to go up. You know you're going to make profit on those. And do not panic sell. Whatever you do not panic sell. I know it's a thing. If you have $1,000 at 18 years old is definitely a lot. I know it is because I know what I would be thinking if I saw my portfolio go down by 20%. But also, do not buy at the peaks, right? That's just a joke everyone makes towards each other. Is that they bought at the peak? Because that's just it's really dumb. You do not want to be buying at the peaks, not at all. So yeah, you want to buy those dips, sell at the peaks, and then you could take those profits back and put them back into a safer place like the S&P. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But yeah, if I was 18 again and I had $1,000, it just landed in my lap. That's what I'm doing with it. I'm putting 70 to 80% in the S&P. And you have to make risks if you want to get wealth now. That's as simple as it. I'm not saying gambling. Definitely do not gamble. You need to do uh, educated marketing, right? You need to know what you're putting your money into and how it's going to perform. So you definitely need to do some your own research with this. But yeah, once you get a big enough stock portfolio built, definitely once you get to 20K, things get really easy and you start making a lot more money. Especially once you get up to 100K. Like think about it, 10% of 100K, even in just the S&P, that's 10K a year. Um, and if you're playing around like I said with that 80-20, 80% S&P, 20% and trying to get trying to take advantage of that volatility in the market. Yeah, you can definitely get a long way with that. And one last big thing that I'm actually doing is I'm wanting to take all these profits and use it towards a business. So, and that's the biggest way that you're going to get any wealth before the time you're 60, 70 years old. You need to start a business. So I think everyone should be focusing on this is the startup money to go towards a business. So, yeah, but and by no means am I a financial advisor, or this is just pretty much all my opinion. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.